welcome back to my channel where I talk about philosophy, law, and do my makeup. But this episode's going to be a little bit different. I am going to be doing skincare with a little bit of a get unready with me video. So get unready with me while I talk about my own implicit bias. I will be talking to you about my courtroom experience that I had in class. And also I'll talk to you about some implicit bias tests that I did. I'm just trying to explore my own implicit bias because in the first couple episodes we talked about the implicit bias of Thomas Hobbes when describing Indigenous peoples and how that allowed for Eurocentric governments to take over and exploit Indigenous peoples and their lands. And then the second episode was about implicit bias against Indigenous women and how it relates to the missing murdered Indigenous and two-spirited groups, and also a little bit about intersectionality and true crime stories that have happened in the States as well as in Vancouver. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. So to start, I already did a little bit of a cloth wash on my face, but I am gonna do a little bit of makeup remover for a double cleanse. This is just micellar water. So yeah, to get right into the topic, I've always kind of like seen myself as like an unbiased person. Like I always tried to like have an open mind with people, and I was raised in a family where we had people that were of all different sexualities, people that were transgender, who and like we're also Indigenous, so I just always felt like I was raised like a very open way, like to not like judge people by their religion and things like that, like just have an open mind about religion. And so yeah, it wasn't until I went to the courtroom experience and we had to, without going into too much detail, we had to sit in the courtroom. He was being charged with the sexual assault of a minor, 2 counts, and I was just like, oh my god, that's so horrible. And like even before, like I didn't even hear any evidence, nothing like that, and I was like, he did it. And I feel like that's kind of like my own implicit bias, like against like men, just because like I'm a feminist. Well, like I believe in like women and surviving. I'll always believe the victim, and I tend to always take like the victim side. Victims a lot of times are children or minors. I just always I'm so biased. Like I'm so biased towards, like, if I was put on a jury for him and having to hear that trial, I don't know if I would be able to like have an unbiased opinion and be able to like look at evidence through like an unbiased lens. I want to go to law school and potentially like be a lawyer one day, and I just find it would be like so difficult for me to like represent or defend somebody that is being accused of something like that. Like it would be so hard for me to like wonder in the back of my mind, like maybe he did do it and I'm just like helping him to go free. I could never. That'd be so hard. Even just being in the courtroom, like it made me so uncomfortable. I'm laughing because I'm uncomfortable. Or you walk into a room thinking that you're gonna be like going to go like this school thing, and like you're hoping that it's gonna be interesting, like not so boring or anything they have to sit through, but it was like way too interesting and like way too personal. And I mean, it would have been, and it's just like kind of crazy because you could go, it's like you could go public for the public to go watch those kind of trials. And I just couldn't imagine like someone accusing me, like I'm trying to put myself into his shoes, like somebody accusing and charging me of um sexual assault. A bunch of students from school, they're like watching me in the middle of the room, like he's like standing in this big clear like box basically. And yeah, like I don't know, it was just such a weird experience because I didn't know who this person was at all or anything, but he's like being charged with something so terrible. And especially of a minor, like a child, like that's so sickening, so sad. So I'm just gonna talk to you guys with this on for a while. Do you know what? After a long semester, it's nice to end it with some pampering, even if I do look ridiculous. That's okay. Feels nice. But yeah, so I'm glad that I had other students there with me because then it would have been like 10 times more awkward. But yeah, it was just like a very interesting and like kind of like made me really think about, yeah, like how I would like handle those situations. And like, like I said before, I really thought that I was like, not biased at all, but like it just goes to show like I am biased. And like, bias is like things that you've experienced in your life that like make you hold a certain opinion. And that could be really, really tricky when you're dealing with the law because, that guy he could have been innocent, but I was so quick to judge him just because of my past experiences that, like, like I said, I will always believe the victim. And maybe that's not, like, good because, maybe there's a million out of one chance that that he was innocent. So just very interesting things to think about. I also want to talk about my tests that I did. So I was like, oh, I have all this implicit bias, now I better do these tests on myself to actually see where I am biased. And so it was these tests, like I think they were like Harvard tests or something. It was a Harvard study and it's ongoing. So I'll leave the link to the test in the description if you want to try it yourself, see where your implicit bias is. Yeah, so I did 3 tests. Ones that I thought were like interesting. I did race, I did age, I did transgender. Oh, so it wasn't race, it was native. So it's just like if I had like bias against native. But I shouldn't have even took that one because I'm native, obviously. I'm not like biased. Like on the test it just said I like preferred Indigenous people over white people. So like I guess you could say that's a bias. Like I prefer to like spend my time with Indigenous people more than I'd care to like spend um time with um Euro American people. I think it said on the test that's the demographic, that term that they use. But I wouldn't even say that, because I also love hanging out with I mean, I'm mostly white, but I grew up on a reservation, and um, I was raised by my mom's family, and they were mostly all indigenous, except for like my grandpa. So, um, yeah, I just prefer, because that to me is like my family. That's to me is my identity, because that's where I grew up. But I think maybe things would be different if I was raised by my dad, my white dad, and like my white family, like away from my family on the reserve. So that's, like I said before, bias is just like um, your experiences in life, like where you feel like I'd feel more comfortable and stuff like that, just because I identify more with um, Indigenous people. Another one, so I also, I did, like I said, I did the age test, and it said that I liked hanging out with young people more than old people. And that is true. I do like hanging out with like my little sister, and obviously my daughter, and I think babies are so cute, and little kids are so cute, and like old people are cranky. I'm biased against old people because I think that they're cranky. They're all stuck in their ways. I'm just kidding. I like spending time with old people too, like my grandma and stuff. Like, I love their old stories and everything. But yeah, I think it's funner to hang out with young people for sure. uh, all right, I think it's been long enough for this mask. It's sure a juicy mask. There's lots of fluid in there. 15 minutes. Oh my goodness, that mask is very hydrating. And I needed it after this semester. The other test that I did was on transgender, and it said that I liked cisgender people and transgender people equally, and which is true. I don't really like to hang out with people that much, but it doesn't matter if you're gay or straight, sis. You're a friend of mine. Personally, I believe that everybody's a little bit gay. Just a little bit of gay in everybody. That's what I think. Wow, that mask actually did wonders. Those are just some of my implicit biases. Everybody's got them. I really enjoyed learning about like the differences between implicit and explicit bias. I thought that was kind of neat. And like, learning about different people that are racist, and like the overcriminalization of Indigenous and Black people. I think that's super important to learn about and like explore that about yourself and find out where you could grow and learn as a person to like understand other people and really be accepting of other groups and like really check yourself and check your privilege and understand like why the way you think the way you are, like you know, question yourself, question your beliefs, always question yourself, and keep questioning philosophers, keep questioning. This is the end of the Get Unready With Me video. I hope you enjoyed talking about implicit bias with me, and make sure to keep questioning, and yeah, hope you guys have a lovely holidays. Mwah.